broadcast. Okay, should be ready to go now. I think you should be able to hear me there, Stella. And just bring in attendees here. Okay, let me get pinned up here again. Still trying to get organized. Oh, I think I'm more or less ready. All the systems are broadcasting, I believe. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Keshe Plasma Reactor Group for Tuesday, July 18th, 2018. It's actually July 17th where I am, but that's okay. Most of the world, it's July 18th. And it's kind of a special time because a couple of days ago, the announcement was made by Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation that the Chinese Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers were attempting a star formation lift and positioning tests, which means basically levitation to those that would think of it that way, lift. At least a reduction of weight, that would be part of it. And that was also attempted about, well, it's almost 4 years ago now, in 2014. And I've got a clip of that we'll have a look at shortly as well, of one of the beginnings of the so-called 129 Tesla magnetic pulses that came out of the star configuration reactor setup that was in Italy at that time. And I've got a clip of that I'm not sure if it's been around for a few years, so it'll be interesting to have a look at that. And I've also suggested in the posts and the various descriptions for the program tonight that people send me their pictures, videos, or whatever, some kind of image of their reactor setup. There's specifically star formation, but it could be anything that they are using to demark this time where we are in support of the Chinese knowledge seekers in their quest to attain, well, enlightenment in a true sense, I guess, in the sense of enlightening, to elevate and actually attempt to attain lift with a reactor system. So Mr. Keshe has been working with these knowledge seekers and trying different loading configurations and whatnot. And we're still awaiting news from that. Caroline told us a little bit in the last One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace workshop that just happened. But we didn't get any details on the actual tests from the Chinese at this point, and it's a bit hush-hush, you might say, because they don't want to reveal things until they see some results that can, be relied on and so on. So we shall see as things go along here, and Mr. Keshe reveals what's been happening in the tests, and we'll find out about that probably on Thursday at the Knowledge Seekers Workshop, Keshe Knowledge Seekers Workshop coming up on Thursday, the 19th of July. So, okay. So I guess first of all, I can show my system. You can probably hear it humming in the background there. Let me move my camera over. Just bear with me a minute here. A lot of wires hanging around. That's not gonna work. Well, that's okay. We don't see what I got that's heavier that I can put there. This will work. Okay. Alrighty, there we go. And maybe I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see the details. There. And yeah, that's about the best I can do for now. So this is my setup that I started on the midnight when midnight in Central European time, when between Sunday and Monday last, and it's been running since then. And what this is I've got 3 reactors from the Arizona KFUSA. These 3 bottom reactors are controlled by this controller here. And they have various combinations of ganses, and this one actually has those absorbent balls that expand and absorb the water. Got those in that one and some in that one too. And the upper orb is a little bit unusual. It's stationary. It doesn't actually rotate at this point. But what's special about it is the blue thing in there is actually a speaker. It's a little remote speaker. So it's self-powered and there's no wires to it. And I can broadcast sound to it, which is kind of interesting. And so I've been playing with that because I like the idea of being able to create basically a sound fields or being able to control the fields through sound waves. And see if I can. Well, it has to be paired. I have to do a little maneuver with it here, which I'll do now to show you how it works. There's the little speaker inside there. And you can get these portable speakers now, and sometimes they're fairly inexpensive, especially off the internet. And it's self-contained, and it's actually quite powerful. It's got a fairly powerful little speaker in there. And you can broadcast from your iPhone or from an iPad in my case.
Power on.
Power on.
Connected.
It says power on and pairing. So I've got a iPad here, and I can actually play the speaker through the iPad. Well, I could until something just happened. It's supposed to pair. Just bear with me a second. Something unexpected happened here. I have to repair it, so to speak. To repair it.
Power on. Pairing. Connected.
Okay, it says it's connected. Yep, it's working. That was through my iPad, so. Uh-oh, it just cut off. I don't think it liked its underwater experience that I gave it last time. Well, that's, maybe it's just the volume's a bit much for it. Let me try to reset it here. Just bear with me a second here. It's kind of unfortunate, but that's the way these live experiments go sometimes.
Power on. Pairing. Connected.
Okay, seems like it's happy. I'm just going to put it back in here and assume everything's going to be okay, and if it isn't, then it isn't. Okay, I'll turn down the iPad. Try a different. No, it was decided not to pair for some reason. Okay, well, I won't be able to play with that for now. Anyway, suffice to say that it was working until now. And I actually had this sphere full of water and the little speaker inside, which explains why it's not working so well now. But it is supposed to be waterproof, so that's why I was testing it. And so I was playing it underwater, actually. So this whole sphere of water, actually GANS water, was vibrating according to certain sounds. I was actually using the iPad and using an app on it, and playing different notes and so on. But I can't do that now. I can only tell you that it happened. And anyway, that's my little setup, my contribution toward just show. I don't expect this to attain lift right at this moment, but it's uplifting for me, and it's my contribution toward showing support for the Chinese knowledge seekers and their experiments, the Chinese Keshe Foundation. So I'll just keep it in the background for now, and I'm hoping that some other people will have some. I guess I'm in the way, and especially with magnified here. Yeah, that's a little better. Okay, so we'll keep that in the background, and you can kind of see it operating there. And hopefully we'll have some other people with systems to show, and we'll be able to have, I'd like to sort of have a collection of pictures and systems and so on today to be able to show them through the show here. So I've asked people send them to me. I haven't collected them all yet, but I hope to do that through the show here. They come from so many different sources that I have to sort of gather them up, and I'll be doing that. So in the meantime, perhaps there's somebody here who would like to go ahead with showing something. Maybe they have a system or something they'd like to present. I'm just promoting the attendees here, so they're panelists. You don't have to mess with that. And there we go. I think everybody's a panelist now. And I have to plug in my earphones. All right, so I'm trying to get organized here. Is there anyone that has something they'd like to show to begin today's show? I'm not hearing any people chiming in. Okay, I'll have to warm things up a bit, perhaps. Okay, well, so we've talked about the star formation configuration of the reactors, which is basically what you see here, with one other rotating reactor on top instead of the stationary one that you see here. And that goes back to when the knowledge seekers got together in Italy with Mr. Keshe originally, and had their reactor setups back in October of 2014. Cast your mind way back in plasma years. Plasma years are like 50 normal years, so that's 4 plasma years. That's almost like 200 years ago, it seems. And you'll find that the same basic principles were being discussed by Mr. Keshe, and what they were trying to do at that time was to attain high magnetic fields from the reactor combinations that they had set up in the lab. So they had a number of reactors set up with different loadings and configurations. And one of them was Armin's reactor. and he had 4 spheres similar to the shape of these ones, machined out of copper and specially prepared and with GANs inside. And I'd like to show a video which came out originally on Livestream and was kept on Livestream for some period of time. But then the Livestream site went down due to some issues we had at that time. And I'm not sure if that video got re-uploaded. I couldn't find it anywhere. So I think it'd be interesting for us to have a look at it as a refresher of some of the setup and experiments that Mr. Keshe was doing with Armin and others, Marco and so on, at that time. And I thought it would be interesting to see their setup and some of the sort of peripheral things around it. And Mr. Keshe describes some of the principles and ideas and what we're seeing and so on. And we see the pulses of the magnetic fields in the detectors. So just as a blast to the past, I want to put that video on, and it'll be sort of a tribute and warm up to presenting some of the different reactor combinations that people have today. Okay, let me get that going here. And if somebody has a question partway through this video, it's a bit long. It's 30 minutes long, so I want to show the whole thing, so we kind of get into it. And there may be some slow spots, but I think it's best just to let it play. But if someone has a question or some thing that comes to mind, we can definitely stop the video at any point and discuss it, or we can wait till after the video's done and discuss points at that point. So either way, feel free to jump in if you need to say something about it. And let me just get this shared here so everybody can see it. And we're going to share it this way. It's not the best resolution, so it'll be maybe a little bit blurry, but it should be adequate. And let me just sure that it's the wrong desktop. Let's try that one. Okay, I think I'm ready to go if no one's going to complain. So far, so good. You can see the image there, I guess, to begin with. And I'll turn the audio to about halfway. Hopefully that won't be too loud. And let's begin. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna put a little sort of disclaimer at the top to let people know that this is recorded. From October 13, 2014. Okay, let me just bear with me a second here. And I have to make that bigger. I'll put that on the top here. Just so people know that it's recorded previous and not live, or Mr. Keshe talking now and this kind of thing. So prevent that off start here. And okay, let's begin. Oops, that thing went away. There we go. I don't think there's any sound initially, so we'll just wait for that. So we can see that they're setting up the equipment. They have the that meter on the left, toward the left bottom is left center. It's the magnetometer, or it's a magnetic field meter, and it measures in Tesla in the third, I guess the fourth little window down in the machine itself there. I'm not sure if there's a problem with the audio or not. Let me just skip ahead and make sure it plays audio. Oh yeah, it's working. Okay. So we just have to wait for it to come through.
And we have to see if he builds up and how it goes, because we have taken him from the 2 milli to 25 Tesla since 7 o'clock in
Okay.
3 hours.
Mr. Keshe, I didn't have the sound on until that last sentence there, so people don't really know what's going on at this point. Maybe you could just quickly review what we're seeing in front of us here, and what the breakthrough is that you are understanding right
in the
now.
background. We're talking to you from Keshe Foundation Center, and what we have achieved is that, as you know, the new reactors, the 4 small reactors you see in the background, have been, don't touch, it's taken, Arman. There's no problem, just, okay. It's taken us since 7 o'clock tonight to start this series of tests. It's the first time we have managed to bring the reactors together in a full formation. These are very tiny reactors. We have mounted, if you can see in the background, if you can show it, Arman, we have mounted the heavy field detector, literally looking into a space. This space is not a space where the reactors are operating. This is more or less the focal point of the pyramid. So the detector is looking into an empty space and measuring a balanced magnetic field between 4 reactors loaded with GaNs. It's the first time GaNs material ever been tested this way. And the magnetic field created between the 4 reactors, which are about 2 centimeters in diameter, and they have about, what, 20-30%, if that, of
30%,
GaNs,
30%.
and the rest water. And the speed of rotation, we have decided to be at about 2000 RPM. The total voltage and amperage of the system, if you can have a look, if you can see them, is about 1 core, because of the polling on it, is less than or around about 4 watts. The others are about 2.8 watts, and one is less than 2 watts. So very, very little energy is used to create such a pulses of magnetic field. Initially on Saturday, we saw the first increase, but Armand and I, we were watching it and something happened and it disappeared. We left it. We managed to reach a number we never seen before. And this afternoon, we started from 7 o'clock. And this is literally looking at every single pulse which is made in the core, in the space between the reactors. So we have achieved the space, literally plasmatic magnetic field of 25 Tesla. That is literally looking into the abyss and looking at what the field can be reached. We do not expect a flight tonight, but as we have achieved 25 Tesla in the pulse reaction and the other dimensions are increasing, we might not see any changes or very slight changes overnight, but it is historical in a way to achieve such a thing, because in early actually 2000, the Dutch organization managed to achieve 16 Tesla with a famous levitating frog. We have already passed that at 25 pulse, and we are heading into one of the, at the moment, we are somewhere past the field strength of 1 gigahertz, which is used for a spectrometer. If we reach 35 or 40, we achieve the strongest continuous magnetic produced by non-superconductive resistive magnets. So what the reason we put this on is that we stop overnight and you people in Canada can follow it, or people around the world. As I said, we do not expect, unless something happens strange, any, what do you call it, a spectacular condition, but everything is possible because the fields are building up and we know overnight things happens quite rapidly here. If we can turn this, which on the top reads for about 11 millitesla, at this kind of strength is over the strength of a typical magnetic special refrigerator magnet. So this, to understand, you're looking into a space. We are not looking into a material. So even at 11.58, we have passed producing a solid magnet condition for a refrigerator, about 25 Tesla pulse. We have passed levitation point of live being, and we have turned the system on and off as a highest read, peak read maximum, and it builds up to building up back up to the same and building up again. So this is a continuous process. If we can look at the graphs, maybe you can see the graph condition, if it is clear.
This is changing quite a lot.
Yeah, it is. You see the peaks coming in. These are
Yes.
the peaks which are built. You can see the peaks. These are huge peaks, around 25 Tesla, coming out of the reactor. The blue line is the, now you see a collective. The blue line is the magnetic gravitational field coming out of the reactor and is getting repeated more and more. It's so high which diminishes the vertical and horizontal field strength. So
So,
the peaks
Mr.
are
Keshe,
building up in the Z direction. What you see as a peak is the fields which flowing out of the reactor towards the, you see another peak. These peaks are
so
building up.
these peaks, when we look at that yellow line at the bottom, that means these peaks are well above the magnitudes of that yellow line at the bottom, or that white line.
Yes, the yellow line at the bottom is 0. Now
Well,
you
is it?
see a combination of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And when you see the peaks is so high than the X
Then
and
this
Y
becomes a
that it
line.
becomes total line, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you see
It's
it
right
again, it's
there.
becoming
Yeah.
repetitive. So we are at the moment at, if you look numerically, we are still at 25,000 millitesla or 25 Tesla. Is not a one-off, is repeating itself as we can see on the graph. And it
So those
repeats
the yellow
itself.
lines are base. Are those yellow lines a
The yellow
base or
line is the
environment?
base, yeah. Yes,
Environment. Okay.
yes. Because we have measured the environment, but when we get the peaks are so high from, there it is. These are the fields which are coming out of the 3 reactors together in the space. We are looking, all these measurements are looking into literally abyss. I mean, it's nothing there. We are looking into a shaft which is connecting to the, what do you call it, the master core on the top, and the 3 cores are sitting at the bottom. I think we can take the camera to have a quick. If you can take it, yeah, you take it close so it can be seen. Yeah, why not? We're going live. We invited people to the house. Let them see what furniture we have. No, you don't. Just let me take this out. So, and then you can go. Yeah, okay. We go with the laptop. Yeah, we go with the. If you go with that, it's okay. You hold the camera because you got to see what you're showing you to there. It's opening. Okay, we go. You got to realize we were not planning for such a thing. And as we said, when we have a breakthrough news, we show. This shows a huge plasma production in peaks on regular basis. And as the reactor builds up, Arman, you got to see what you're showing. Okay? Give me this out so I'm not in your way. Yep. Okay. Yes. See, you got to show. Go back if you can to the back to show the detector where it is. The detector is looking into, go closer to the back side where you can see it. The detector is looking into the center of the space. If you can.
I can go from there.
Go from the other side, no problem. Can we go forward? This is a pure plasma. You see the black, Arman, you can show the black detector. You got to go up. No, go up, yeah. This is the detector. Don't move too fast. You see the black detector in the middle? You can show it with your finger that they can see what they're looking for. That's there. And is looking into space. It's not looking at any reactor. So this is what we think is the highest maximum peak point of the pyramid, where we should see the interaction of magnetic gravitational field of the 4 reactors in conjunction with the Earth to take place to create the first lift. This is in so many ways thanks to Arman and the time he spent to building such a beautiful system. You see the 4 reactors. The top reactor is here. I tried to show you that. That's the top reactor. And then we have the 3/4 base reactors. I'm producing 25 Tesla in the middle of the air with the reactors rotating with less than maybe less than 1 or 2 grams of GaNs. Yeah, no more. So it has shown that GaNs is a, what do you call it, dynamic plasma. And there is no winding, there is no energy supply to any of the cores. It's just rotating higher speed plasmas, which is centrifuged or in a way brought to a center point. Tomorrow, if we don't achieve what we are looking for now, we managed to break through. It's just building up to bring the peaks into a straight line. We have 2 choices. We're going to explore the increase in the speed, or by end of the week, changes in the GaNs material, or even mixing the GaNs materials. But on the other hand, tomorrow, our plan is to do what we call remote control, with Armand being in the teaching room some 100 meters away, and with his thoughts, because he's built the reactors are connected to him, that he can decide the speed of the motion or increase of the fields of the reactors. So what we do, we're going to go back on the base foot, and we're going to leave you as we break up for, it's about 8, 9 o'clock here for the day. If you want to stay live on the live stream, or we can close down and come back to you tomorrow, whichever you decide.
Mr. Keshe, is it possible that you can broadcast your camera live to Livestream?
Yes, of course. That's why we came on.
Right, but we're on Skype, so can we?
I thought you already went on the live stream.
Yeah, no.
Uh-huh. Ah. Do you want to do it? Do you know how to do it? You have to tell Marco
We can try, huh?
what to do, and then we don't mind. Huh? We are disconnected from the camera for a few seconds till we reorganize ourselves. If you teach us and you want to go, and somebody can keep an eye on the whole situation overnight, then it'll be good for, what do you call it? For the, yeah, it's looking here. Look. What happened? Yeah, but it says nothing might happen, but something interesting might happen. But in a way, it was important to record such achievements, because those who are in plasma technology and in nuclear technology will understand the significance of this video. In so many ways, from plasma technology is very much as good as landing on the moon, if people understand this what do you call it, this principle. If you ask what do you call it, the guys who understand the game, to watch the live stream and be able to see the numbers and how it changes, this is significant. It's absolutely important what has been achieved for the, what do you call it, for such a small systems. So if you want, whatever you want to organize with, you brought this down, no? Does it come down, or is it the one which has all the datas on it? No? This is what we brought down to write. It's okay. Leave it there.
Yeah, we'll work with the guys there, Marco, and get that
Can you
set up
see
for
the
live.
figures? The important thing is somebody can see the figures on the dial. That's our biggest problem. Can you? Yeah, but you have to have a view of the background machine, because if anything happens, we want you to see it and be recorded.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're gonna.
Over just a little bit more.
No,
The other way.
no. That way, go that way, that way, that way. No.
Other way.
This way. Me.
You had it. You had it good. Yeah. Back up a little bit. The other way. Other way.
Back up. But you can't see the system in the background.
No, go left. Go left.
Go left.
Go left. Go left. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. No, it's not there yet.
But we
Keep
don't
going.
see the. Wait, let us do something else. Just wait. Now
Okay.
come this way. Because we want you to see the reactors and the systems. So
Right.
if you turn.
Oh, that's the good numbers. Oh, just about had it.
Let us do a little bit of adjusting.
Oh,
No, it's okay. We
that's
can
great.
you see it now?
Yeah, I can see the numbers. There's a little bit of reflection on it, but if you can,
Go up a bit.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
25,
you
2,
see
7,
the
4,
weight.
5, 8, 4. Yeah, I can read
Yeah,
them all.
you see the weight of the system is 11 kilo, 860 gram. That's the top number. The B is in millitesla, which is 11, but that goes average of the peak, and then you have the peak at 25,274 in a Z, which looks at the field coming up out of the pyramid in a way. If it goes minus any of the figures, which means the reactor is pulling in the fields. But because the sign is plus, it means the fields are going to the direction of the sensor, which means, what do you call it?
Do they see inverted picture?
Do you see? No, they see the full picture because they can read the numbers.
Yeah.
We see it inverted.
Why we see inverted?
Do you see a full or do you see inverted?
That's good.
It's
They
only
see it.
inverted for you. It's only inverted for you.
It's inverted for us. Okay, now let's.
That's
But
what they
why?
see.
Yeah, that's
what they see.
But why we see that?
That 25,000 is not very clear. It's projecting.
From that angle.
Yeah. So do you see how to do it? Do you see it better? No, you can't.
No,
because
no.
then you can't see the reactor. Actually, it's good in the dark because if it flies, you will see it. Yeah, when it lights up, you see it. We call it the light. What do you call it?
If it's possible from this angle, you know.
Yeah, but we have to see that. That's part of our problem. This is
Can
what
you
we
move the
really
camera
gonna
back?
just. We're
Can you
gonna
move the
do
camera?
something. Because you can see the reactor.
Yeah.
Is it better?
I can still read the numbers. They're a little bit blurry, but I can read them clearly.
Uh,
Well, it's better. That's even better right there.
That's better. So you can see the reactor, you can see the numbers, and we don't know if anything is going to happen because that's us looking at the reverse. But what do you call it? Nothing might happen, but if it happens, it's alive. You can see exactly what the story is. It's okay. Very nice. I think if you go through the scientific book, you'll find out this is a breakthrough in so many ways.
Yeah.
If we can achieve further, but you will see, and we go to sleep. Yeah, but being able to produce is a good camera. No, I don't think we see lift, but in being able to what do you call it, to achieve 25 Tesla in fresh air is a huge achievement.
Now, Mr. Keshe, are those numbers locked right now, or do they change periodically?
They changed. That's why we put it about an hour ago, or about 3 hours ago. It was 2 milli Tesla, 3 milli Tesla. And then we were happy with 8 and 9. And we thought it's good, and then it went up, and it went to 19,839, and then it jumped to 25,274, and total reaches. Pardon? The top one, is the what do you call it? Uh, supposed to be the average life, yeah. The next one, 7.2, is the x-axis. This is the field surrounding the system, the star formation on the axis, on the x-axis. Second reading, which you see at 11,287, is the vertical, what is coming to the detector. And the bottom one, 25,000, is what field is coming out of the what do you call it, the star formation to the detector. When it's positive, it's what's coming to the detector. When it's negative, when it's going away from the detector. And when you achieve the, what do you call it? Can I have that list, please? When you achieve the position of the lift, the field goes to around 100 plus. And this will create a huge gradient flow between the X and Y and Z. And then you should start getting what we call as a magnetic airflow or magnetic cycle. And then it starts feeding on itself, and then it shields up, and it becomes one cell. And that's the time when you see the, what you call the bright light as a sphere. So you should be able to see a horizontal flat plate light to start with, and this flat plate light builds up to a sphere in a very rapid way. And this is, I think it will not be achievable because I know there are some things need to be changed, but as we said, we do it at the time as it goes. But don't forget, there are no magnets used here. There are no, what do you call it, radioactive material used here. There is no motors which their magnetic field can interfere with the center column. All the motors are sitting below level, so everything is above the 3 platform plates. And on the other hand, the whole structure weighs less than 12 kilogram, which lift for this should be quite feasible in a very rapid way. But if you look, I don't know if you can see it, we're getting reverse Z direction flow, which means here, if you can see this peak, I don't know if you see it. As long as you have that reverse flow, it means the system is absorbing fields from the environment. Most probably X is in the same position. When if you are monitoring and you see a continuous black upwards, it means then we are heading for a full lift. We had this on Saturday, but somehow we lost it. I guessed that was because the detector was sitting outside the system. This morning we actually mounted the detector on the whole set, which means it stays as part of the field. So we have achieved something very interesting, and if somebody wants to keep an eye on it, Marco will go on a live stream and we stay online. Can you do that, Marco?
Yeah, we should try that.
We should try. I'll give the headphone to Marco for you to set it up that if you want to carry on, you can go on with it. Rick, did you get my email? I sent an email to you and Vince.
Yeah, we got it.
You got it. You know where we stand, yeah? Okay. We got to talk. We got to talk about it. Okay, no problem.
Okay, that's the end of that video. I hope you found that interesting. I thought it was quite a bit of a gem to find, actually, and it was at excuse me, one of my older video backups, and I found it there, and I think I'll have to republish that one on the Keshe Foundation YouTube as a separate video, I believe. So, let me get back here. Unless anyone wants to go back to part of that video. Okay, I'll stop that share.
I have a question.
Okay, is that Estella?
Yes, hi, to
Hi.
everyone. When they measure the fields, do we know what's the measurement that we need to reach in order to be able to get the lift?
I don't know if that's been definitely established. They were going for the magnetic fields in this case rather than the lift itself. But the further experiments that were done later in the week, they show the lift effects of weight reduction. So I think there is like a 2 kilogram weight reduction on a 6 or 8 kilogram mass, and so on. There's a number of videos that are available on the Keshe Foundation YouTube site. You can see the weight reduction. So it's associated, but you could see on the meter there was like peaks of magnetic peaks that were occurring, and there was like a straight line of not much magnetics happening, and then there would be sudden peaks that they were showing on the graph there. So I don't know whether those peaks have to happen more often, or if you have to contain those peaks somehow, or I can't recall exactly what Mr. Keshe was saying about that, but that would be a good question for the Knowledge Seekers workshop coming up, actually.
I watched a video of the guy who I cannot remember the name, but they were able to fly an object, and the concept was to match the resonance of the Earth, and they have this like a ring with 12 little small vortices, magnetic vortices, and what they say, when they match the resonance and the magnetic field of the Earth, there is no more time, and by using the consciousness, of the person, they were able to move to a different location. And that's why I was asking, because if you reduce the weight, that means the magnetic field will be more intense. You're able to almost equal the gravitational, correct?
Possibly. I'm not clear on exactly how the interaction goes there. Mr. Keshe could explain that better, I guess, but that's basically it. Is the magnetic gravitational fields get changed and interacted with the crossing of the fields and the generation of the magnetic being stronger to overcome the gravitational, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, because this guy was saying when time doesn't exist, you're in the 0 point of both forces, becoming one. So the consciousness is able to, change the position in space by.
Right. I think you're talking about Ralph Carr and the
Yes.
or is it Otis Carr? I think it is, and Ralph Ring, who was involved with that. And
Yes.
Ralph talks about that in some of his testimonies and whatnot. That's quite interesting. Yes, and they were actually associated with Nikola Tesla as well. Otis Carr was. I think Otis was the. How'd it go? He was the doorman for the hotel that Tesla stayed at, or he was like some sort of
Yeah, he was
person that worked in the elevator hotel or something. And they had
and
conversation.
he started to work.
He
Yeah,
started to
he
work
started to
with
work with
Tesla,
Tesla.
even though he wasn't that
Yeah.
educated in that realm, but he got really interested, and Tesla was at the end of his life and he didn't have that many people to relate to at that time. So he just sort of unloaded all this proprietary information into Otis Carr, apparently, who tried to optimize it and set it up commercially and so on, and ended up getting into trouble with it. And he actually had a patent for the saucer that he came up with, but it was patented as a exhibition or circus ride sort of thing, rather than it was like a novelty ride that was supposed to be for people to have fun on, as more or less disguising his invention so it wouldn't have been taken out as a real patent. So yeah, it's very interesting to hear the story, especially from Ralph Ring, who experienced it and so on.
Yeah, I was able to download the drawings of the spaceship, and I took a look. They use sacred geometry and proportions, and the 12 positions connected to the 12 frequencies, and
They used a Utron rotating double cone, basically.
yes.
And they're supposed to have a special qualities to it, which is actually very similar shape to our rotating reactors that we have. You just think of it as a double cone rather than a. Where'd they go? So, they disappeared. It's okay. Yeah. So yeah, interesting.
So one of the things that we're moving closer towards.
Hi, John.
Hi, how are you, everybody?
Who do you mean? What do you mean by we? You better announce who you are. Not everybody knows.
You also.
Well, just to say you're John from Arizona or something like that, just to indicate.
Um, with a
Yeah,
new with the new spaceship, it's going to be I'll call it a next generation ship. There's been a lot of spaceships that have been built in the past, but what we're on the verge of is a crystalline light craft that can, in essence, disappear from sight, kind of like these ships that you see in the night sky where they'll light up and just take off, and they'll be able to go not only in our galaxy but beyond our galaxy. So it's I'll say beyond the OHX, the Otis Carr craft. It's beyond the Searle craft that the Searle flew 144 spacecraft in his time. They were flying all over Europe back in the 70s. But what we're doing now, and the beauty of it is it can be done for thousands, a couple $1,000s versus millions of dollars. So everybody has it within their potential. And one of the things that Mr. Keshe is sharing with us is that these, and the reason why he wants everybody to have their various tools running this week and continue to run if they can, is because they can all link up. So the plasma fields are not contained by distance, and I think he kind of alluded to it a little bit a couple weeks ago when he talked about the carbon crystals. The carbon nanocrystals are the communication tool to link up the various reactors, including the magravs and the starship formations. That is something that will take a little bit of energies from us, but they all can link. So that's going to be the beauty of what's coming forward.
I thought it was interesting that they had in the news this week about the diamond carbon in the Earth's mantle. That is like, they figure now it's like an enormous percentage, 2% of the material is actually in the diamond form. Several hundred miles under our crust here, under the surface. So interesting that suddenly came up, that we're finding a partly diamond core, actually, not core exactly, but one of the layerings is diamond. So the crystal structure is starting to come out.
Did you guys feel something during
the?
Did you guys feel like like when we were at one point all in the chat room present? If anybody experienced like something, in your feel in the body.
Definitely, I felt a connection. I do whenever, like last time in 2014 when you saw that reactor setup that Mr. Keshe had there. We also, many of us around the world, had reactor combinations going, and we did feel a connection. We were paying really close attention to the live feed from Italy at the time, and at one point I was sitting there and just feeling really connected with the image of the system from Italy. Had my own system running. there is another image, I think, of probably Vince's system, and there was another system also from that was on our the video, and we had all these video feeds at the same time of these live systems. And at one point, when we're watching the meter, like we saw in the video earlier, and we could see these peaks every so often. There'd be a big jump on the meter, and at a certain point, I felt like I connected so well with the system in Italy that I could predict the peak. And at one point I was really on, and I just knew that this big peak was coming. And sure enough, it puts out like a chirp, and it makes a peak at the same time. And it felt just bang on, connected, like that idea of real-time communications was happening, and others felt the connection as well. And that's part of what I felt during that that time when the system was started, and all of that. It's subtle, and it may only come as a flash, or it could come as a feeling, or sort of an intuition thing. Or different people have different ways of perceiving, of course. What did you experience, Stella?
Well, I kind of put together a generator, and every day in the morning, in the afternoon, I fill a tab in my garden, and I put salt. I have a pump with bubbles of oxygen, and another one with ionized air in ozone. I put 3 silica quartz in a start position. I put I had a copper, you know, when you buy the copper is like a tube, you know, all, how you call it, like, I don't know how to say in English. A copper, I just bought a new copper wire, and it has a hole in it. Yeah, so, right, and I got my 2 balls of my Seco Magra, already had gangs, ready for another unit, and I put it in the center, and then I sat my lower chakra on top of the Magra balls, and then I didn't take a picture of that because, well, it was kind of funny, but so I was sat in the water with salt, and I knew that, you know, increased the neutrinos, and so I sat and I kind of sat straight, you know, like a shogi, and I put my hands, my fingers connected each other's to create a loop, you know, and I close my eyes, and I start to do humming, you know, like and I felt like a pulsing, you know, like sometimes your body kind of balance. And I feel like a balloon, you know, like I was in a balloon, something like that. But I couldn't stay for too long, you know. My attention span is not so great, but that was, so it was interesting in that sense. And I was also interrupted because I was keep going into the chat. But I think if I was more focused, I probably get a better result. But we were all at that time, you know, connecting. So.
Do you have any pictures of your setup at all, or?
Yeah, I did a drawing.
Okay, well that would be good, because I want to show as many systems as we can today. So it'd be great to see what you had there.
I don't know if I can show it through the camera.
Yeah, you could do it that way. If you don't have it as a digital file, you could just show it through the camera, or take a picture of it and show the picture.
Yeah, later on I can scan it, but I can show. I don't know if you could see it.
I might have to allow you to open your camera or something like that. Let's see here. I think I have to allow panelists to start video, probably, and maybe ask to start video. Does that work for you? Okay, let me get that pinned up here, spotlighted, and make it so people can see. Okay, we get the focus. Hold it steady there. It's a little hard to see, but we kind of get the idea. Maybe you'll have to
So on the top, and the top that's the wire, copper wire, where I put the two little balls that fit perfect, and then I put it in the center. That's where I sat, and then I have 3 crystals in the water, and I had 2 pumps, one with the bubbles, you know, from a fish tank, and the second one is an ozonator generator with the ionizer plus ozone. I use that as a therapy. And so this is a section where I had in the root chakra, you know, the magra, and then the water, cold water from the well. I had CO2 in the water from my, you know, CO2 gangs, and then salt, pink salt with clay, and then I put my hands on the front, and I was able to feel like also like the energy, you know, like you could feel like a ball, the energy, and then my whole vertical, you know, energy, I felt like I was like in a pulsing like this, and that's it. So that's what I did.
All right, very cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Is any questions for Estella, or anything else you want to say about that, Estella?
No, I also my intention was to get connected to the trees and to everybody in the chat, you know, to the Chinese. But I did it through the nature because I was outside under a tree.
Okay, very good. Well, we've got a number of pictures that were sent by Mark House of his reactor setup. So I'll share that now. We'll have a look at what he sent along. Set up a little better. There we go. And okay, so let me get that shared here. Let's see, I'll just share the desktop on this one, I think. Okay, you should be able to see the desktop there with his pictures on it. And we see Mark there in the first picture. And I'll just go through kind of quickly. I got a lot of pictures of the progress, I guess, of his setup. He's got a single reactor to start with here, and seems to be made out of a fan, a little looks like a USB fan assembly. He's turned one upside down, and some of them are upright. Attached a ball onto it. You see the details of the attachment here. Appears to have glued a a cap onto the fan assembly, and then the ball is glued onto that or placed there somehow. You see there's the GAN's ring has formed on the balls. So it's spinning away. There's even a couple of videos here. Maybe we can play one of them. See, let's just scan through first. And looks like a CH3 predominant kind of reactor with that orangey color. This one has more of the copper GANs in it. On that side. Yeah, you can see the copper that's been added, and picture Mark with his light on there. Maybe he's working at night. And we can see the teardown of the assembly here in order to, it's battery operated, so they're self-contained, I guess. Maybe some are USB and some are battery, or maybe they're both. I'm not clear on that. You can see this one running here, and there's two of the, a pair of them running. And looks like another one being prepared. Looks like a happy family of little fan assemblies here. And I see there's a diagram of the plasma readings. This is the magnetic readings, actually, from what we saw earlier from in Italy when Mr. Keshe was working with the knowledge seekers. They had a magnetic field detector, and it had detection in the X, Y, and Z. They call it the BX, BY, and BZ or BZ readings. So that's in the three directional coordinates, basically. And the BT is the total magnetic field. B stands for magnetic. So there's the BX, BY, and BZ as the three components of the BT total reading. Okay, we'll scroll down to some more of these experimental reactors. And we see them coming together. We see the three basic reactors here. It looks like the CH3 predominantly, the CuO, and the CO2. And now we start to see one reactor on top of the other. So that's the beginning of a star configuration, perhaps. So you can see the three. Maybe we can show this video. Probably have to optimize it just a second here while I share the sound and optimize. And we'll see if we can play this little clip. So it looks like all four of the reactors are spinning here now, and hear just a very slight hum in the background. They're very quiet. So it's a great example of a very simple system that can be put together fairly inexpensively. I think those fans are probably about $10 each or something, and the balls themselves are $1 or $2, and Then you just have the glue and the GANs to complete your units. Do the whole thing for probably less than $50. Maybe even less if you can get those fans really cheap on eBay in bulk. Okay, we'll go back and continue with the feast of pictures here, Mark. Oh, geez, lots of them. It looks nice with the lighting here with the reactor combo. Look at the picture on the ceiling. Wow. That doesn't look like the bottom of a saucer. I don't know what does. Really neat. Let's have another look at that from a different angle. Yep. Looks like you've created a saucer on your ceiling, Mark. Everybody needs a ceiling saucer just in case of running to the store. You just grab your ceiling saucer and away you go. And we see magnesium GANs indicated on this picture. And we see things lit up. In this picture, I'm assuming from an external power supply, of course, but unless Mark has been able to convince his unit to generate light, that is what we're looking for, is the shimmering of the system. All right, very good, Mark. Thank you very much for your contribution toward showing solidarity for the Chinese lift experiment. Okay, got a few other systems to show here. There's 3 systems from sent to me by Frederic, and let's have a look at that system. Mark's system up in the corner. Have a look at Frederic's contribution. You can see the 4 reactors in the star configuration. These appear to be computer fan. Similar setup actually to Mark's setup, very much so, with some sort of cap glued onto the fan, and then the ball set in the cap. Interesting. Again, simple system, relatively inexpensive to put together. Those computer fans are available for well under $10 each, depending where you get them and what quality. You can also get the used computer fans from your local computer repair shop if you happen to still have repair shops in your area. It used to be quite prevalent, but not as much anymore. And I was also sent a couple of other pictures along with this one. This is from, I think the name is Hedil. Or is it Hadley?
Stefan, it's okay, Stefan, from Romania.
This last picture is Stefan from Romania. that what you're saying, Dan?
No, no, I make a confusion. No, this is not from Romania.
Okay. There's another one from Romania I've got as well, but I'll have a look at that one. So in this one, I see, I guess, two reactors, possibly one in the background. I'm not sure how that works. So, and it has separate control units and appears to be the computer hard drive type motor system. And these are the same reactors that they appear to be the same type of reactors from the Arizona KFUSA systems. And I think this is the system from, might be the newest system offered from China.
Yeah, it's coming from China.
Okay. And let's see, we have another system here that was sent also with these three are all together, sent to me by Moon Blanche. We've got this one, which shows it's from Mitchell or Michelle, I'm not sure which it is. Again, from France, I believe. And we see, looks to be probably brushed DC motors and mounted directly onto a shaft with some sort of adapter that allows the spheres to be glued onto it. And the upper one looks like maybe a computer fan with its wings chopped off. I think it might be a different motor. All set in a wood frame. And it's got an orientation of these reactors sort of at about a 45-degree angle, it looks like. So it's some sort of geometry there rather than a vertical setup. Okay, well, thank you for that contribution. Let's see what else we have. You mentioned Romania. Got a little video from Gianni. Is it Gianni or Gianni? From Romania. And I'll just play that through here. It's 20 seconds. It's quite short. Let me get the background sort of out of the way a bit here. I'll just set this up. It's a tall, narrow video, so it's the best we can do for resolution here. Okay, here we go. All right, once again, we can see this is the computer fan configuration with glued on caps or some sort of adapter where the balls are glued on to the fan hub. See, there's a bit of wobble in this one, but sometimes wobble can be good. We've shown that in the plasma group that wobble can produce some quite interesting effects. Okay, well, thank you, Gianni, for that contribution. What else do we have here? Here's a unit from Hector in Mexico. And I don't have any other information on it other than it's looks to be some white containers that have the motor inside, and the balls are sort of barely visible in the tops of these setups. Another interesting configuration. This looks to be probably a brushed DC motor, series of small brushed DC motors. It's got 2 wires going into it, so that's what I'm assuming. The brushless motors have 3 wires, generally speaking. Okay, thanks, Hector. And we have one from down the Arizona way from Julian, actually. He wanted to show
Yeah, Julian works for us.
yeah, he had a I'm not sure if you've shown this reactor or not, but he had a little video to show. It's about a minute or so, so we'll play through that.
So that's a version of the non-tangible reactors. Nothing moves. None of those balls spin. And he has 3 Alex bead configurations set up in a new winding style. And he's working with the gradient field between each of the different layers so that there's energy moving between all of the fields. When you put your hand over the top of it, you can feel a lot of energy coming from it.
Oh, perfect, John. Yeah, perfect, John. I was going to ask you if you wanted to give some sort of commentary on it. So
we actually have 6 different Starship formations running in Arizona right now.
Yeah.
Each of them have a little bit different setup.
So would you call this a solid state reactor, or would you call it static, or is it dynamic? How would you describe it? As
it's static, nothing moves on it. None of the balls turn.
Right.
But there's field flow between the top and the middle and the bottom layers. So it's like the energy is moving.
So it's a dynamic static, you might say. This whole idea of static is kind of a misnomer, I think, because static electricity is actually very dynamic. And static fields, I don't know if there is such a thing in a way, because
Mr. Keshe terms it non-tangible.
Right. Okay. Non-tangible reactor.
Yeah. Nothing's spinning.
Okay. And does it get hooked up to anything, or it just stays no wires?
Just
No wires
plasma
attached.
fields. Just plasma fields moving between the out. So the Alex beads in and of themselves create energy, just like a ball of plasma, a ball of GANs creates energy. Each one of them creates different strength fields. So each one of these beads is a different. He has it so that the motion of each of these beads is different, going from lowest to highest in strength. So there's a field flow within the beads, and then there's also a field flow between layers of uh, the the beads.
Right, right. Okay, so you've got, what'd you say, 6 reactor setups? Are some of them like this and some of them dynamic then, or?
No, we have 6 dynamic or 5 dynamic and 1 static reactor setup at our shop,
Oh, okay.
and they're all going now.
Yeah. Are they all in the same room? Are they configured together, or are they in different locations?
So if you've seen our main room, it's rather large. We put
Yeah.
them on different corners of the everything's kind of in its own space.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Are you going to show a picture of that maybe in the Knowledge Seekers workshop? Or maybe here tonight, later?
I think you've seen a lot of them, but I can show
Yeah.
you pictures. You want to
It'd
see
be nice to have a picture just to notate for this event that we are participating in, showing solidarity for the Chinese lift event. So anything you can contribute that way would be appreciated. Do you want a few minutes to play with that? Not hearing back from you, John. I think your mic's off there. So
Yeah, if you will give me the ability to share a screen, then I'll share it.
okay, let me stop, and you should be able to. Maybe you want to share just pictures rather than your whole desktop. But
Okay, some of these are videos. You don't want to see the videos.
okay.
Let's see. I should have pulled up these pictures in advance. Some of these are older pictures. Let me get out. Let me stop sharing.
Yeah, you can maybe sort that out first so we don't have to see your whole desktop.
Yeah,
There might be something sensitive somewhere that you may not want to show. So you can set that up maybe and
Okay.
let me know when you're ready. And in the meantime, is there anybody else with something they would like to bring forward to contribute to our conversation here? Got some attendees. Let me promote you guys to panelists so you have a chance to speak without me having to mess around with it.
Hello, everyone.
Marius had his hand
Yeah.
down. Knew somebody had a hand up there before I promoted them.
Yes, I had it. I don't know if there was somebody else. I wanted to ask you, how can I send you a video with my star formation?
Well, you could send it through Zoom to my Zoom ID, or you could send it by email if you know my email, or you could send it by Facebook, or you could put it in, you could actually just show, you could share your video on the screen share.
Okay.
Right.
I think it's faster to share. I have sent it from my phone to my email, but I think it's still sending because it's a large file. Just 1 second to open it. Okay. And now, unfortunately, it's not very good quality. I will try to send you the file by email. So if there is somebody else who wants to intervene until I send you the video.
Okay, great. All right, see John's back here, so we'll have a look at what he's got lined up.
Can you see that okay?
Yes, very clearly. It looks really clear and nice.
Okay, so that's just one of the starships that we have. You can see that we've got it hooked up. We also have a set of Alex beads on the bottom. And we also, on either side, we have 2 balls feeding like an infinity loop into our starship formation. This is one of the ones that we have running currently. The other ones look like a lot of mine are on videos, and I think a lot of you have seen the videos before. There's a big starship. We have another one in the background running where you put these little small, I'll call them zirconium diamonds in the reactors. So you have hydrogen, tritium, and deuterium with a little small diamond in them, creating, like I call a communication field. Now this one has, this center ball is 4-ball configuration with this outer ball carbon GANs. So we have hollow center ball, in this case, the hydrogen next, then the tritium, and then followed by a carbon outside structure.
Can you quickly tell us how you make the carbon GANs? I had a question about that from someone, and it would help them. And are you talking about a particular form of carbon? They were interested in the C60 type of carbon structure.
I think Nikki gave me that question on my email, and I answered it. The other, I don't see it on my, usually I have on this back table here some of the things I'm working. Let me stop this and get another picture up, and I'll share some stuff about the carbon. It's really the carbon crystal that you really want to get to. So let me stop the share.
All right, thank you for that. So Nikki, this is for you if you're listening out there. Because you did send me an email about this as well. So something is being worked on.
Can you see that?
Yes. Get it set up here. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so this and this particular picture doesn't show it real good, but you can see like right here is like a crystal, There's quite a bit of crystals in this carbon GANs that we created. Yeah, this picture doesn't do it justice, but it's this whole thing is really like a ball of crystals, carbon crystals.
So we see there's black and then there's the white specks you're saying are the crystals.
No, this white specks is really the amino acids when I grab this.
Oh, but the black is the crystal then?
The black is the carbon. These little specks. Let me share. Let me find a better picture. Here's a better picture. Okay, this picture shows.
How did you collect the crystals? Did the gang's water did you remove the gang's water or?
So it's in the GAN's water. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so there's the carbon crystals, and you can see all these little white specks are actual crystals. Crystal. And if you put your flashlight, stir it around, there's a bunch of crystals in there.
Okay, so how'd you make the black carbon? Was that with an electrode, 2 carbon electrodes method, or how did?
We put a carbon stick on one side over here, and these crystals fell off of the carbon stick. In this container, which is a glass bowl, we put a different type of salt. We put potassium salt instead of the magnesium salt. And in this container is the H3. And then on the other side of the container over here, we put a zinc plate to pull the carbon through the H3. Now our intent was to bring the crystalline structure into the H3, and I'm not sure that we didn't do that in a nano structure. But what we found happened was we got all these a significant amount of carbon crystals came off of the carbon rod, but the carbon rod was not eaten away. It's like they manifested themselves out of the carbon rod. Looked like it was still whole, and yet we had a whole pile of carbon crystals down here on the bottom.
Well, that's interesting.
But it's these carbon crystals now that may or may not be in the diamond structure or the C60 structure. We're actually going to take some of these and put them into a ball, one of the plastic balls, and put some other GANs materials with them and run some water through them in kind of like a vortex method. And we feel that this will do similar to what shungite does for restructuring water and purifying water, but in a different, uh, maybe more of a plasmatic fashion rather than a matter state fashion.
Okay.
I have a little bit to add on that. It's me, Pete.
Go ahead, Pete.
Well, the funny thing about shungite is that it's commonly known that just the dissolution from the minerals in the shungite makes the water taste better, but the shungite itself actually does do plasma. And, you know, when you look at close reference, the sheeting process, obviously, because you were using the potassium substrate, and it would form those bonds where it can structuralize those nanoparticles into sheets, right? Like, have you looked at the structure under a microscope or anything to get the base granule geometry?
No, we haven't.
That would be good to do. I was going to suggest it's almost grounds for some sort of good testing, maybe an electron microscope or some sort of technique that can determine the crystal structure would be good. Something to think about.
Absolutely, I agree, because you think everything with these structures, what is the base principle? Is resonance, of course, because that'd be your field structure in its own, would be the resonance of that, well, some lattice, I guess, some could be looser, but you know, when it comes down to it, it's still based on the resonance which creates that field. And then the interactions, including with your body, would be upon even your biometric field, electric field, whatever you want to call it, but it's still resonance. You know, so if you can get close to carbon-60, that'd be great, but it looks like that sheathing process really intentionally, if it's all geometrically synchronous, that is absolutely beautiful. You can actually do nanostructures with that could resonate absolutely beautifully. But until known, then absolutely a lot more testing done. I just got one question. That bowl you used in that picture, John, was that a upside down glass bowl, like what you do an upside down cake in?
Or is it just a glass mixing bowl?
Oh, okay.
We use all kinds of different glass bowls that we picked up from thrift shops and where have you, to make all the different GANs.
Absolutely, and I do urge everybody to, you don't have to go top dollar to get the productions and everything going. Thrift shops and everything are great. That's what I've been doing as well. And, you know, us and Suki or me, Guy, and, you know, it's going. So thrift shops and everything, bargain deals are great, but then it's up to us to look for quality. And that's what you want because, of course, controlled variables are always great in the scientific process.
I agree.
All right. Any other questions or comments at this point? Got a video coming from Marius here. Should be downloaded shortly. Anyone else have something they would like to share in this respect? Picture or video of their setup? Now is your big chance to get into the ground floor of the revelation of.
Hey Rick, would you like me to send you the videos where you can pull from the videos some of the reactors? You know,
Sure.
Armin is waiting. May you lift Armin to a panelist? I
Oh,
think
yes,
he wants to
absolutely.
say something.
Yeah, I see Shandor there too. Okay, just a second here, and okay, we got Marius video, and I think we have Armin might want to say something though. So let's see what Armin has going on. What's up, Armin?
Hello.
Hi, Armin.
Hello, Rick.
What's up, and how you doing there?
I am doing good. Just arrived in Mexico.
Oh, yes.
Today I have to come here at night, so tomorrow I have some things to do.
Yes, I understand you're pretty busy there in Mexico, and we've seen pictures of the wonderful new facility you have. You're getting
Yeah,
set
it's
up here.
completion. So tomorrow, I think, in our teaching, we will do the opening day.
Tomorrow you're going to do the opening, you said?
Yeah, with Mr. Keshe.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I arrived here.
Oh.
I'll be a little bit quiet for now. Tired.
Okay. Yes, all right. Fair enough.
Armin, I happen to have a question for you.
Okay.
In that middle picture that's front and center, are you using a PC power supply?
This isn't Armin's picture. It's not his stuff here. He's not
No,
showing
it's
a
not.
picture yet.
Oh, okay.
This is Marius's video. I'll play that in a second. A lot of noise on your microphone there, Armin. Maybe you can mute
I'll
it.
close it down.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, if you don't have anything to show right now, Armin, then I guess I'll continue with the show here is what we have to show.
The show must go.
Yes, the show must go on. Okay, and this is from Marius, so let's have a look at that. I'll make it bigger so we can see it easier. And just make sure that the audio, yeah, we should be able to get sound out of it. Turn down the audio a bit. Okay, here we go. It's
Well, except for the light show, you can see I tried to fix the balls as good as I could. I have sent a second video where the balls are better fixed in there, and you don't have this wiggling or how to call.
Like dancing reactors.
yes, they're definitely dancing, eh? Well, like I said, you can get some pretty special effects from that shaking action, and it doesn't just randomly shake things up inside. It will form certain configurations when it's shaking as well. So you never know what you might get from shaking things up a bit.
Yes, but it's weird that with the naked eye you cannot see this shaking.
Oh, is that right? Hey, yeah.
Or you don't see it as much.
Yeah.
So in my configuration, I had CO2, copper oxide, and zinc oxide at the bottom, with a drop of CH3 in each and every one of the balls at the bottom. And at the top, I have put CH3 and a little drop from every gas of the bottom, which is the copper oxide, CO2, and zinc oxide.
And you have an adjustable arm for the top reactor. Looks like it was from a monitor or something for...
Yes, yes, it's like an extension arm for a monitor that you can put into the wall or something.
Sure, that's a good idea. You just vary it as you please.
And it was a pure coincidence with the colors of the computer coolers, because computer fans, because I have them for 17 years.
Oh, wow.
So it was pure coincidence that I could create a gravitational base and a magnetic top, and with the color codes as well.
Is it color coded to the Romanian flag?
Not really. The yellow is missing from the formation, but it's color coded to the magnetic gravitational flag.
Okay, yes, right.
Marius, I happen to have a question.
Yes, please.
So, in that picture, that power supply, is that a CPU power supply? Because, you know, they're so handy with all the multiple connections and, you know.
Yes, it's a computer power supply. It's a very cheap power supply, the cheapest I could find on the market.
But it's beautiful because it can do negative DC and things that are actually beneficial for plasma, especially. Because if you go into what originally you're creating is DC and AC, but negative DC is the constant, just like the interaction between a magnetic and electromagnetic field. The magnetic field would be the constant, and the electromagnetic field would be the flux.
Yeah, but I'm thinking to use that for MAGRAPH power unit conditioning as well. But yeah, this is the second video. So the first you have seen, it was in a test phase. Not all the balls had the GaNs in them, but this one has the GaNs inside the balls. And actually, this has been done. This video has been done at 1 o'clock Romania time, which was in sync with the Chinese team. And I was at the seaside. I have created the plasma conditioning in that room and also into the sea, because I have dropped 10 liters of plasma waters into the Black Sea. So I think somehow it was a greater, let's say, plasma field connection interaction in there. Yes, in the bottles in there you have plasma waters of CO2 and zinc oxide. So maybe there was a greater influence between them, between the star formation and those bottles. And the overall feeling was very peaceful, and it transmitted a lot of calmness.
All right, very good, Marius.
Thank you very much.
So it didn't cost you very much to put that together, I guess, if you had the fans already for 17 years.
No, and actually the power supply as well, I had it for some years. And actually I had all the pieces. Even the globes. There are Christmas tree plastic balls, and they are nano-coated. And all the spending was on the silicone to isolate the top of the balls and not to waste any liquid from them. So this is a first version. I have a greater plate, and I want to create a bigger, let's say, distance between the reactors. And I would try to buy more powerful motors. And I also have some PVM controllers to adjust the rotation per minute. But that would be a greater project that will follow after this one. For me, my let's say my expectation was to see how can I interact as a soul, as my being. How can I interact with the free plasma that's created inside the star formation? And it was a coincidence that the testing in China had occurred, and luckily I had this already built.
Right on.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any questions for Marius or anybody else that'd like to go ahead with something here?
Marius, do you happen to have any type of field detector at all, like electromagnetic, magnetic, anything?
No, unfortunately not. I'm looking forward to buy one, but at the moment I don't have anyone. I don't have any. My detector is just my body, so I can feel the fields, but I cannot measure more than that. Let's say, for the moment. Otherwise, I'm very curious as well to see and measure the fields and how much they can extend in certain directions, or what shapes of fields are born in there. Yes, but this will come in time.
Marius, I'll put a link in the chat there for all you guys and girls to find a nice tri-field emitter that can do the magnetic, electromagnetic, and even do RF microwave radiation. So it's great because it goes down to the third decimal point, so it's very precise. You can find exact locations nearly of where the fields are. So, it's almost like a must-have, and I'll put the link down here, and it's pretty cheap. Canadian is about $200, so whatever the conversion rate is, you might be able to get it for cheaper.
Oh, thank you very much. This can be very helpful for a lot of knowledge seekers.
Well, it's always good. Like we all trust, the senses and the feelings. Yes, of course you can sense fields and everything like that, but it's always nice to have hard data.
Of course, and it has many applications as well.
Okay, I'll just give me a minute here. You guys continue. I'm gonna put the link up.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Okay, let's see here. I think Shandor had a system that he had going, but I'm trying to find a picture of it. Where did you post that, Shandor? Was it in one of the teaching classes, I think?
Hey Rick, it's posted in the Zoom chat there.
The tri-field meter.
Very nice. I use it almost every day. And wow, like this one guy came up to me and he's like, "Hey man," because he saw me taking readings. And he was like, hey man, can you do a reading on me? So I was like, okay. And there's even a weighted function for very precise, right? There's standard, so you can get standard fielding. And then there's a weighted function, so it's very, and I mean like to third decimal point precise. And the weighted function is what you'd use on a human or an organism or anything like that if you're doing close contact. And then he was like, I was wondering why I disrupt radio stations. So I put it on weighted and magnetic, and the standard magnetic field would be 0.3 on just pretty standard. His was 1.2. No wonder you disrupt a radio station if you touched it.
Yeah, the thing is, though, most people are basically, as humans, we're walking antennas, and we pick up the fields around us. So if he's picking up on, could be anything from a transformer nearby or light bulbs and.
No, he was talking about. He wasn't talking about amplifying the signal. He was talking about disrupting the signal.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting anyway.
Yep, well, it's a great instrument. I'd like to have one of those, actually. They're pretty handy for, does the magnetic and electric fields, so it's important to get both rather than
it's
just
reasonably cheap, and it's the quality of it's pretty good. And just a suggestion, if you get one, keep the main box of it and cherish that, because that's where you'd want to put it after every use.
Good point. Yep. All right. I mentioned Shandor, but he's traveling in a very noisy bus and he can't speak right now. So thank you, Shandor, for the update. All right. Anybody else with something they'd like to show or show and tell here today? This is our dedication to showing support for the Keshe Foundation Chinese group that is working with the star formation configuration to attain lift. And we showed the video earlier of the 2014 magnetic readings. And there are also videos in the Keshe Foundation YouTube channel of the weight reduction, it's called, in the further examples that were tested during that time in 2014. Okay, do we have anyone else that has something they'd like to present here in the there are a couple of dozen panelists we have?
Did we see the video yet?
Which video?
Wasn't there a video you were going to show?
I did show the video of the this one here. Maybe you weren't in earlier.
No, I wasn't.
You'll have to review the recording here. It shows the there's a magnetic meter that shows in Teslas how many Teslas of magnetic pulses that are going on, and they show the meter going in different graphs, as you can see here, of the magnetic pulse that occurs. And I think it goes up to 30 Tesla or 25 Tesla or something in this series of tests. Later, it goes up to 129 Tesla. That was the max that came out of the system. And yeah, you can have a review of that. And it's a 30-minute video that I played at the close to the beginning, within the first 20 minutes, I guess, of the show.
Cool.
And I'm not sure if it's available online right now, so it may be the first time that it's been published since 2014, I think, that particular segment, where Mr. Keshe explains quite a bit about the system and how it works and how the magnetic sensor works and so on. So it's quite a valuable little excerpt there. I was happy to find that today. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it's not available on the YouTube channel, so I'll set that up as a individual movie, and we'll upload it to the YouTube channel. Try to clearly indicate that it's from 2014, so we don't confuse people too much with it, but that should be easy enough to do. Okay, well, Powell here as well. I'll promote you to panelist, Powell. Maybe you have something you want to show today, or anybody else have their star configuration or other similar setup they might have that's representative of solidarity with the systems in China that are being activated at this point. See, Marius has sent another. Oh, the video is not available. The content's not available from your Facebook link there, Marius. It's probably because it's a private Facebook link and it's not shareable.
Oh, can I share my screen?
Well, if it's not a shareable video, then we can't play it if it's not public yet. If it's private, it may be under private rather than public. That one from Anka, is that the name?
Here it's present on a Facebook group with plasma technology practical applications. So it's I don't see if it's private.
The link doesn't go through for me. It says the content isn't available right now. The link may have expired, or the page may only be visible to an audience you're not in. Is that a private group or is it a public group?
I think it's public. I can take a look again and see.
Yeah. If it's a private group, then we don't really have permission to show it as the thing. So. See, Gianni is in as well. Showed your.
Hello, Rick.
Hi, I showed your video earlier. Our setup was a picture, yeah, of your video. So thank you for that. I'm just going through and see if there's any other videos that people may have sent.
Yeah, sorry, I can see now it's a closed group. So yeah, sorry. It would be nice to see the effect that was created inside the formation.
If you could get that person to send it to me direct, a link to video or the video itself, then I could show it. That would be fine.
I asked her, but I didn't get any response yet. But hopefully she will be able to answer in time.
So Jay says in the chat, Rick, yesterday I had a thought. Could you make a flying saucer out of an actual saucer? Mr. Keshe said about pure DNA and RNA or pure soul, but plates and saucers are mostly made from bone of animals who never did any wrong. I wonder, could there be a way to use a saucer to make a saucer and use them like the old form of horseback? Ceramics are also made with lots of other minerals too. Well, some of the first reactors from the knowledge seekers were made out of ceramic. And yes, there's definitely a very good possibility that ceramics could be used for making a some sort of configuration that might entail a reactor, or maybe even the skin of the spaceship, something like that. But as Mr. Keshe says, there's as many types of reactors as there are stars in the universe. So it gives us quite a lot of room for variables and lots of different ways to do things. It's just a matter of applying yourself and applying the principles and testing, and more testing and more applying your principles, more testing and conferring with others and more testing. And eventually it could be possible to make it happen. Ceramics are some of the toughest materials possible, and they can take also the highest rotational speeds, the new ceramics, and they're reinforced properly. I've looked into ceramics as plates for Tesla turbines, and I was going to invest in such a design until I discovered that each plate would cost between $5,000 and $6,000, and I'd need a couple dozen of them to make a decent turbine. Yep, lots of things are possible, but only a certain amount in one lifetime. So we have to limit our thoughts to things that we feel that we can accomplish, I guess. Okay, just searching here. Okay, I put the tri-field meter link into the live stream for those that are there. See if I can do it in the other chat as well. Okay, as far as news about the China experiment, whether did it work yet? Some people are asking, did it work? We haven't had definitive news yet about that. We know that they're definitely working very hard to attain some sort of effects. Mr. Keshe is working tightly with the group there in China, and they're trying different loadings of the reactors and looking for various effects. And I'm sure we'll find out lots more information about that on Thursday's Knowledge Seekers Workshop coming up, well, tomorrow, basically.
Rick,
Yes.
dacă mă ajută cineva cu traducerea, Marius, te rog. I speak English little.
Sure, I can help, sure.
Ok. Pot să spun câteva cuvinte despre reactorul din foto?
I will say a few words about the reactor in this picture.
Okay.
A fost construit în ziua de duminică pentru a ajuta echipa din China pentru lansare.
It was built on Sunday in order to help the Chinese team for the liftoff.
Echipa este formată din Gianni, Jetta și Nico.
The team was formed by Gianni, Jetta and Nico.
Și copiii care să știe cu care lucrăm la proiect.
And the children that you know are working on this project.
Proiectul pentru Vietnam, care are loc astăzi, finala.
The Vietnam project, and as far as we know, today is the final phase of the project.
Is that the ODA group?
Yes.
Known as by their initials, and they're in grade 9, I believe, students.
Exactly, yes.
Great. So did they actually make these reactors?
Marius, mă ajuți?
Da, Rick a întrebat dacă copiii au făcut aceste reactoare.
Copiii au lucrat acasă la profesoara de fizică la filmuleț, la partea a doua, care se prezintă astăzi în Hanoi.
Okay. So the kids worked at their physics teacher's home for the second part, which will be presented in Hanoi today.
Și noi am lucrat în laborator.
And Gianni, Nico and Jetta worked into the laboratory. Dar la formațiunea asta a întrebat Rick, la aceste bile rotative.
Am înțeles asta, la formațiunea asta am lucrat doar eu, Nico și cu Jetta.
So the star formation was built just by Gianni, Nico and Jetta.
Să spun și câteva date din cum e construit?
Sigur. So a few details about this device, this construction.
Am folosit ventilatoare, 4 ventilatoare care sunt alimentate la 5 volți.
So here are 4 fans that are powered at 5 volts.
Sunt alimentate la o baterie externă.
They are powered by an external battery.
Și a fost pornit la ora 1 fără un sfert, ora României.
And it was powered up at a quarter to 1 o'clock Romanian time.
Și funcționează și acum.
And it's still functioning.
Am făcut câteva teste ca să vedem prezența câmpurilor, mai concret să o constatăm.
We have done a few tests to feel and see the presence of the fields in there.
Am folosit bateriile, un grup de baterii plasmatice și un ampermetru.
We have used a group of plasma batteries and an ampere meter.
Fiind conectat la ampermetru, apărea o diferență, creștea și scădea voltajul în funcție de apropiere și depărtare de star formation.
They were able to see differences on the voltage or amperes? Voltage sau amperaj?
Voltaj.
So they were able to see the voltage difference while you were getting closer or far away from the construction.
Cu detectorul de unde electromagnetice nu se sesizează nimic.
With the detector of electromagnetic fields, you cannot see anything.
În schimb, a echilibrat cumva în încăpere tot ceea ce înseamnă câmp electromagnetic.
But somehow the whole room was balanced in terms of electromagnetic fields.
Nu cunosc rotațiile bilei, trebuie să însosească tahometru. Și atunci voi ști și câte turații au.
We don't know how many turns per minute we have for these fans and balls. But soon we will have the device to measure them.
L-am construit ca să participăm la experimentul din China, cât și pentru mediu.
We have built this star formation in order to help the team from China and to help the environment.
Mai sunt pornite încă două. Un CH3, un reactor dinamic cu CH3, o să trimit și foto, care este la Nicol în laboratorul de tehnică dentară.
Okay, we have two other reactors built, but I understood that they are simple reactors. One of them is with CH3.
Și cel de la grădină, care funcționează singur, fără alimentare de o lună de zile.
And the other one is it's the same with CH3, but it's somehow rotating itself without being powered up. And this rotation is from 1 month.
Cam atât și mulțumesc. Dacă sunt întrebări.
This is all. Thank you very much. And Jenny asked if there are any questions.
Well, definitely thank him very much for that that explanation. That helps tell us more about it for sure. It's great. Any questions from anybody on that? All right, we're not getting any questions there. Well, thank you very much, Marius, for your translating as well. It was perfect.
No problem. Thank you as well.
Thank you, Gianni. Is it Gianni? Is that how I pronounce your name?
Gianni.
Gianni. Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you all.
All right. Is there anything else to present here? Or shall we fade away into the night? Trying to see in the chats if there's something I missed. There may have been some reactor somewhere that somebody sent me links or pictures that I may have missed in the Facebook or somewhere else. And what I'll try to do is I'd like to take or just to have all these pictures and videos in one sort of group and show them in the knowledge seekers workshops as input from around the world, or maybe make a collage of it or something, some way to show that people are participating in this exercise, which is great to see. It's great to see people from all over the world taking part. And whether, I mean, there's something was suggested by Jalal that if you don't have a reactor system currently set up with rotating spheres and so on, like we've shown here, then you can do basically the same thing with your fingers. You can use your digits. I'm not sure how he actually recommended it, but you could imagine using your fingers as reactors. So you have finger reactors, and you can, of course, have different configurations depending on how you set up your fingers. You could have your three fingers could be the three reactors, for example, maybe this way and one this way, as could indicate the tetrahedral configuration. Maybe there's a better way to do it that I haven't thought of and others have. Of course, you can do it just by visualization as well. Some people do it by drawings on paper. Just draw what you'd like to project, and then make your wish and set your intention, produce that emotion, and send it off, and make the connection, real-time communication connection with the other reactors of the world, and with all the common goal of producing lift. And basically, it's to do with the lift of elevating mankind one way or another.
If you remember, a few weeks ago, in the workshop Knowledge Seekers, I have asked Mr. Keshe if we all around the world start these reactors and have synchronized intentions. And my question was, if we start this and put our intentions, will there be created a grid that will answer to our wishes and intentions? And Mr. Keshe says yes. And a few weeks after that, maybe somehow he says, why to start reactors when we can start star formations? It would be even more powerful.
Good point. Yes, indeed. As Marcos has stated, oh, I lost the picture here. There it is. Serve one another. Good one. Spacestream wants anyone point me to which workshop was where someone did show a multi-phasing maggrav demonstration. It was high voltage neon bulb and a low voltage LED in parallel, and they lighted on both at the same time. I am not sure where that is. Maybe if somebody knows, they can put it in the chat for Spacestream.
It almost sounds like a space dream.
It says it was a month or two back. Well, you'll have to, you can maybe do a search through YouTube or through Google search rather, and for keywords, and you put Keshe in front of the keywords, it'll usually come up with the workshop that has those keywords in it, if it has been transcribed already, which most of, or a lot of the earlier workshops up until a couple of months ago, they've been transcribed. Some of them lately have been transcribed as well. See, Baba, you have your microphone open. Did you want to say something there? Hello, Baba.
Sorry, no.
Okay, just your microphone was open. Okay, I'll mute you then. All right, Peter, did you want to say something more? Your microphone there too. All right, thank you.
Sorry.
No problem. Anybody else with anything they'd like to bring up or say at this point? Or shall we close for the evening?
Rick, I have one more picture from Gianni. It's one of the reactors. It's just a simple reactor. Just a few seconds to find the picture and send it to you on Zoom.
All right. And if there's any other pictures that I'm missing that anybody knows of, you can let me know and I can follow the link and put up a picture to represent somebody's contribution somewhere on this planet.
Rick, I want to thank you for Ursula for permission for how to say translate this piece of message from Mr. Keshe from all the knowledge seekers from mandate to picture, video with the star formation and Magrav, GANs and other things for helping team of China. I'm under message from receiving, especially in Messenger, because I know little another in Facebook, know all the administration. I have permission for showing chronology. You know.
Okay, you want to show it now, you mean?
No, I don't have now. I'm at work. It's in Facebook in group from Romania. It's many video and picture from this thing, but it's in Facebook. I don't have a permission from this person. I'm handing to you from directly or send to you.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I should find them. I should look in the Romania Facebook, you mean?
Yes, it's in Keshe Foundation Romania and development search knowledge, and it's just a thought. Everybody send them to you, like Caroline said, picture of self-formation. This is my message.
Okay. I see another picture has come through. I think this is the one you mean, Marius, from...
Yes, this is the one. So they had two reactors as this one in the picture with CH3. And one is in the garden and one is Nico's medical laboratory.
It's interesting. setup there.
Pot să adaug câteva cuvinte și despre asta.
Jenny says he can bring a few words about this.
Okay.
Este în partea de jos, este un suport de sticlă îmbrăcat în rășină de brad.
Jenny says in the bottom is the glass support covered in resin.
În interior are șpan de cupru peste care am turnat rășină.
I agree. Look at the resonance. You'd want to do negative entropy on that wire.
Am folosit în partea de sus un motoraj de 5 volți de la o imprimantă.
At the top I used a 5 volt fan or motor from a printer.
Și în bilă este CH3.
Yeah, all contains CH3, and I'm not sure how you say little pieces of copper that are in the middle.
Funcționează de 2 luni.
And this is turned on from 2 months and still running.
Mulțumesc. Thank you. Hello?
Oops, hi.
Ah.
Yes, hi.
Acum se aude.
What's that, Maurice? Can you translate?
Johnny wasn't able to hear anything.
Oh, yeah, I think I had my mic off there.
Acum se aude.
He asked if we can hear him.
Yes.
Marius, te rog să repeți întrebările, că am rămas o perioadă fără sonor, nu am auzit nimic.
Dar nu a fost nicio activitate între timp, a fost liniște. So Jenny asked if I can repeat the questions for him, but there was silence. So yeah.
The questions from him? Sorry, or for him? Oh, for him, yes. I don't think there was any extra questions there.
Sunt întrebări pe chat.
There are a lot of questions on the chat.
What pictures
yes, I don't know what they are. They're in Can you translate them, Marius?
Yes. Mr. Marin Sorin asked Johnny, how did you discover that the reactor in your garden is spinning by itself? Can you feel or see its fields? Deci, Johnny te întreabă...
Am înțeles. A fost o întâmplare. Fiind alimentat, la grădină nu suntem conectați la nicio rețea de electricitate și acolo am folosit doar baterie externă pentru alimentare reactor.
Okay, se traduc. So in the garden we don't have any power supply and we used just a simple battery that we used for powering up the reactors.
L-am alimentat timp de 3 săptămâni, trebuia să tot reîncarc bateria externă. O reîncărcam de la o baterie de mașină de 12 volți.
So I have powered this up at 5 volts. I was using a battery which was recharged from a car battery.
După 3 săptămâni, la un moment dat am sesizat că nu mai trebuie să încarc bateria.
After 3 weeks, I have noticed there is no need to charge the battery anymore.
Am fost plecat de acasă 2 zile și am rămas uimit că vedeam mișcarea în reactor și abia pe urmă am observat că nu se învârte ventilatorul, că se descărcase bateria.
I was gone 2 days, but when I came back after these 2 days, I noticed that the ball was spinning, but there was no need to charge the battery. And the battery was completely discharged.
El a fost construit cu intenția de a echilibra mediul și l-am folosit în grădina plasmatică Gianigeta.
It was built with the intention to balance the environment, and it was used in the plasma garden of Gianni and Geta.
L-am luat în prima fază, deci când am sesizat fenomenul, l-am scos din poziția în care se vede și acum în cutia aceea, am ieșit cu el în grădină și am făcut câteva foto.
So I have taken this from its box and I went outside in the garden and took a few pictures.
După ce l-am mutat, gansul a început să se așeze înapoi, exact ca în momentul în care l-am pornit. Adică s-a lăsat tot în partea de jos.
After I have moved it, the gas was settled exactly as it was when I powered it up.
După aceasta l-am pornit o singură dată pentru câteva ore cu bateria externă și de atunci l-am deconectat și nu mai este necesar să-l mai alimentez. Își menține poziția și Geta mi-a comunicat chiar acum că poate să vadă câmpurile. Și...
So since then I just powered it only once and then removed the external battery and it remained in this position.
Și vreau să adaug că din momentul în care s-a făcut experimentul în China pentru pornire, s-au amplificat câmpurile și la celelalte 2 reactoare. Ele sunt la o distanță de 1,5 km unul de celălalt.
So they added that they were able to see and to see the fields and feel the power of the fields. And when the Chinese team experiment started, they have amplified their power. And the two reactors, as the one in the picture, are 1.5 kilometers one from another. And they have been somehow synchronized and amplified their power.
Distanța dintre reactoare și laborator este de 1,5 km între ele.
So the distance between the laboratory and the reactors are 1.5 kilometers.
Vreau să mai adaug ceva vis-a-vis de foto, de reactorul Nico. În momentul când am mers la Bragadiru, l-am luat și l-am folosit în cușetă. Am călătorit cu trenul și l-am folosit în cușetă. S-a creat un traduce, rog.
So one day when we have the Romanian meeting in Bragadiru, I took this reactor in the wagon and I had it powered up.
Și s-a creat un mediu fain și nu a fost necesar să, practic, toți ceilalți aveau supracăldură și în cușeta noastră era un echilibru, o armonie, încât s-au odihnit toți.
I had this powered up in the wagon, and meanwhile the rest of the wagons had how to say this? They were very warm inside, and people could not rest. In this wagon, somehow there was created a balance, and everyone could rest, and somehow, in my words, they had exactly the temperature that they needed.
Atât reactoarele cât și star formation-ul le-am construit special ca să fie alimentate la baterii externe de 5 volți, ca să le putem purta cu noi oriunde.
So all my reactors and star formations are built up in such a way that we can power them up from an external battery of 5 volts, and we can take them anywhere we need.
Și urmează alimentarea cu baterii plasmatice.
And then will come up the power up with plasma batteries.
Mulțumesc.
Thank you very much.
Okay, excellent. Thank you once again. We have one other picture from one of the students, Joseph. Show his star configuration with appears to be the standard computer fan setup with the balls attached. Nice wooden frame. Very simple yet elegant. Alrighty. Anything else? Anybody else with anything they want to present in this show and tell show today?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Maybe I didn't understand correctly the one he was talking about. The star formation was powered by an external battery, but then he wanted to do it with a plasma battery. Is that right? Or it's just
Yes.
external battery?
Yes. So he said currently. he powers up with external batteries, 5-volt batteries. But in the future, the plans are to use just plasma batteries.
I remember at one point someone said that they were using solar panels with batteries, and because they put the McGrath system in series, and then at one point the solar panels, they were producing more light and more electricity in the night than this during the day. So basically the batteries were self-powered with the having a McGrath system connected to the solar panels. Do you remember, Rick, about that?
I remember something about that. I'm not clear on how it all interacted though.
In one testimonial, Adrian from Romania says.
There's a testimony from Romania about that. Is that what you're saying, Dan?
I don't remember in what workshop. In night storage, more energy in less diameter state.
Yeah, Mr. Keshe has talked about that on several occasions, and a few years ago, that was his one of the products that were going to be produced and so on. I think this is a more recent example that Stella's talking about. I don't have more information on that, unfortunately.
But basically the concept would be that the system was absorbing the plasma field and charging the batteries, because they have the McGrath system connected to the solar and the batteries.
Yes, right.
But what I don't understand is how would be a plasma battery if you will build a battery with the plasma, with the gangs, or
yes, there's GANs and coils, copper coils, paper, and other parts as part of the plasma capacitors. And I believe the plasma battery is the same basic idea, just with different configuration, different materials. Does anybody else want to add to that? Help me out with that.
As an example, you can read the KF Plasma Times, and you can see an experiment with a few children who have built such batteries, plasma batteries, and they were able to light up a few LEDs. But the idea is to connect more batteries in series, that you can obtain more voltage. Or you can create more efficient batteries in order to not to have many cells, so to say. And you can light up or turn a device on with this batteries.
Okay. Here's kind of a nice setup from Jack in the private teaching. Very elegant looking setup with this hanging off the ceiling. You see the balls that could be considered to be the star configuration. And it all seems to be sitting off of a light fixture, perhaps on the ceiling. I thought maybe these balls could be put on one of those rotating fans that are installed, ceiling fans. Might be a good way to do a setup. And Jack has another picture. here of a multi copper ball setup. Trying to see if there's any more information. The copper balls are loaded with just the fields of my hands. It's all about the intention, he says. So they don't have the GANs in them, they have hands in them instead of GANs. Hands-on fields. All right. Hello.
Hello, Rick. My
Hello.
question is, what gas is recommended to put in the top reactor?
For what?
CH3 or
For what
for
purpose?
star formation? For star formation.
Okay.
CH3 is recommended or any one else?
Do you have a single core, double core, triple core, or 4-core reactors?
Three is 4-core reactor. 3 reactors down and 1 in.
No, I mean each
top.
reactor. Would each reactor have 1 core, 2 cores, 3 cores, or 4 cores? Because there's different configurations. You can have the top ball can have 4 balls in it. So you have 4 different layers. And you can have you can have acid and base, you can have CH3 and CO2 and all these different combinations. There's the deuterium, tritium, and so on, depending on the particular setup. Can anyone give some generalities to that? If you have just single core reactors, for example, what would the upper reactor tend to be? That's the one that's considered to be the magnetical, is it not? Anybody have some input on that for me?
I think if there is magnetical, the top can be either CH3, either tritium, which is more powerful. But with a few drops, or if you have multi-cores, you can use a little bit from the base gases in order to create a flow of a plasma.
Right, so the idea is to create the gradient, so-called gradient, that's so important in order to create the flow of the fields that get to interact. And the greater the gradient, the more of a chance of something significant happening, the way I look at it. And Marius gives us the link to the batteries in the Plasma Times. And I'll have a look at that in a second here. Bring that up. And he says page 5. Whoops. Okay, I think that might be the plasma battery that we see in that.
Poți să spun despre bateriile acelea cum le-am construit?
Gianni asked if he can bring a few words about how those batteries were built.
Sure, yes.
Cele 3 baterii sunt construite cu gansuri, doar cu gansuri.
So the 3 batteries are built just with the ganses.
Tica centrală este din sârmă de cupru nano-acoperită.
The central wire is just nano-coated wire, copper wire.
Băgate într-un tub
care into a tube.
La cea din stânga, care este, se vede CH3-ul, este CH3 în exterior, în interior, în tubul din interior, este un mix de oxid de cupru, zinc și CO2.
If you can see in this picture, the left battery has a tube inside another tube. So the inner tube has a, yes, that is the one. So the inner tube has a mix of copper oxide, CO2 and zinc oxide. And the external tube has CH3.
Pe tubul din interior este o bobină de zinc.
And the inner tube is a support for a zinc coil.
Care este introdusă în CH3.
And the whole thing is placed into the outer tube with CH3.
La celelalte două, configurația este invers. Și la unul dintre ele am folosit țeavă de cupru de capilară de 2 mm jumate.
The other two batteries are built in the reverse. So the inner tube had CH3 GaNs, and the outer tube had a mix of copper oxide, CO2, and zinc. And one of those had the inner wire, a tube, capillary tube with 2 millimeters and a half in diameter.
Funcționează de aproximativ 2 luni.
They are functioning, or they are being functional from 2 months.
Thank you very much.
Does he continue to light the LED for 2 months solid, or just every once in a while?
Funcționează. A fost întrerupt LED-ul doar în momentul când am mers să fac prezentările la școală, la INSEMEX sau în oricare altă parte. Funcționează și acum.
They were functioning all the time, but they didn't before moving them to different presentations. So maybe because they were disconnected. A fost deconectate cumva înainte de prezentări?
Doar pentru transport, atât.
Yes, so they were disconnected just for transport purposes, and then they were put together as you see in the picture, and the LED was lighting again.
Am uitat să adaug, toate în partea de sus sunt închise cu rășină de brad amestecată cu cenușă.
So Jenny added that the top of the batteries were sealed with resin, and I'm not sure the word, just to translate one second.
Ashes.
With ashes, yes, with ashes. So it's a mix of resin and ashes.
La fel și bilele pentru reactoare le închid tot cu rășină de brad.
And also the bowls of the reactors are sealed with this mix of resin and ashes.
Well, it's quite interesting. Be good to get further information on that over time.
One of my personal experiences was to replicate this kind of batteries after Gianni's, let's say, blueprint, but my battery wasn't sealed, and in time I don't get the same reading. Somehow it lost power. I had 0.9 millivolts. I used it in a CO2 reactor along with aquarium pipe to bring more oxygen to the water. It had great results for me, but after 2 or 3 weeks, it somehow discharged and I don't get the same reading. I get 0.3 or so millivolts.
Have you tried charging?
I have
that. Sorry?
Have you tried charging it?
I'm not sure how, because it's a plasma battery and I used mix of gases and it's the same. I can try to make a picture and show it to you.
I have a question for Gianni. What kind of resin you use? It's crystallized or mostly liquid? Ce fel de rășină ai folosit?
Am înțeles întrebarea. Rășină de brad. Rășină naturală de brad.
In what state? It's crystallized, it's solid, or it's like honey?
Rășina de brad pe care am încălzit-o, am amestecat-o cu cenușă din lemn de fag. Rășina este cristalizată, o culeg cristalizată de pe copac și o prelucrez acasă. O încălzesc, o pește și o amestec.
Wait, from translation, Gianni, wait for it's two kind of resin. It's with in wood, no, like a Christmas tree, and another is mixed with. I'm sorry, I have a noise here. Marius, continue.
Okay, I will start the translation from the beginning. So Jenny said he uses natural resin from fir. It's a fir natural resin. It's collected into a somehow crystallized form. And the ashes are from another tree. 1 second to try. So it's beech wood, I think.
So ashes from beechwood and the resin from the fir tree.
Yes.
Interesting. And I believe this experiment might show up in more detail in the next plasma times, perhaps.
Yes, hopefully we will have more details. Yes, because there also is a need for explanations to have a more scientific approach of this and not just informational one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be next week's Plasma Scientific Journal entry. So we'll have a few more details on the specific composition and that kind of thing. And some more pictures too, I think. Great.
And I have a few more pictures from Baba Yani. If there is more time, I can send them to you as fast as possible in 1 minute.
Sure, yeah, we can still do that. Okay.
Yeah, please bear with me, just 1 more minute to download them.
Okay, no problem. Just checking my other chats here to see what else people might have to contribute. Bear with us a minute while we reconfigure things and get ready for another picture upload here.
It's taking a bit longer because there are lots of pictures and a bigger video file.
Okay.
So if anyone wants to add something until I can send the pictures.
Yeah, is there anybody else who has something they'd like to bring up? Otherwise, we'll probably end after this next set of pictures. No other discussion, conversation, questions, comments?
What is the voltage that you need to operate one of those small computer fans?
The voltage is, most of them are around 5 volts,
So,
or they can go up to 12 volts as well.
so if you put one of these battery plasmas underneath of each of the fans, you can motorize the fan with a plasma battery and it will rotate the bulb.
You'd have to get enough voltage out of and amperage out of your plasma battery configuration. But it depends on the voltage of the particular batteries. they vary from
Power on.
millivolts through to
Connected.
several volts, depending.
So the amount of voltage you get is in the combination of the atomics or the strengths of the field, so you can generate that flow, or is in the proportions of.
And then you can put several batteries, like what you see here. You might have, it looks like they put 3 batteries together maybe to get the LED to light. And it's probably in series in order to do that. So there's both series and parallel are the 2 ways you could connect batteries. And if you connect them in parallel, then they'll add up in their amperage, but the voltage will stay the same. And if you connect them in series, then the voltages will add up, but the amperage will remain the same. So like a typical LED, you might need a couple of volts in order to power it, somewhere between 1.5 to 3 volts, say. And that may take 3 cells that are 1 volt each, for example, in series. And that could give you the voltage you need to light an LED. Or you might need more amperage in order to light a different kind of bulb, and you might have to put the cells in parallel in order to develop enough amperage in order to push the power through a more resistant circuit, say. Okay, I've got some pictures here. Let's have a look. I'll just put them up in the order that I found them here. We have this one. This one, which is similar. And I think this is all the same unit, just a different perspective. I'll get my picture out of the way and just put these in. There we go. And another one. That's the same one.
I think the video has been sent as well.
This perspective. Okay, I'll download the video. We'll have a look at that. So it's basically a unit that you kind of sit inside, or sit on the chair while contemplating the rotating reactors above you and to each side, and it looks like one underneath as well.
Yes, this unit was present in Braun when we had the Romanian meeting, and it's built by Dr. Rodrigo's blueprint, but with certain particularities, so to say. The video will have some explanations, and I can translate if just needed.
Okay, you see the video here in the middle part, and turn the audio down a bit, and it's 1 minute and 40 seconds. So just let that play through. Oh, sorry, I have to change my sharing in order to share the sound and optimize and so on. I think that'll work the best. Okay, we'll start that again.
Acestea sunt cele două dispozitive puse una în cealaltă. Practic acesta este dispozitivul de regenerare cu două tetraedre, iar celălalt, am să revin acum, așezat în tetraedru, este la nivelul.
Do you want to translate, Marius, as we go along here?
Yes. This is a system with two tetrahedrons that are connected, and the part above is a part for regeneration.
Solului. Deci un tetraedru mai mare.
At the bottom level, you have a greater tetrahedron.
Este jos. Și revenim din nou la tetraedru. Și în partea de sus se interconectează cu dispozitivul de regenerare.
The two tetrahedrons are being connected with this.
Labelă, un magravat așa.
That's the power device, the power unit supply, and the magrav unit.
Și cam atât.
That's all.
Deci tetraedru în tetraedru.
So we have a tetrahedron inside another tetrahedron. So that's the basic idea.
All right. Interesting. Thank you.
Thank you as well.
It's like once again we have the computer fan construction. PVC pipe makes it fairly simple. Okay, thank you, Baba, for that contribution. Okay, I'm just scanning what else we might have here.
Thank you, Rick.
I think maybe I'll put in Peggy's reactor because I thought it was pretty cool. Show that. I'm sure she'll be okay with us showing that. And yeah, what you can see here is tubes. And these tubes can be filled with GANs or they can just be simply filled with your intention. And we have, these are actually like multi-core reactors, 4 of them. And it looks like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 rings in each configuration, in each reactor.
A question, Rick.
Mm-hmm.
And that one with the tubes, they could be connected each element to a fan, and they can rotate, even though they are not balls. They can, the tubes with that shape, they can be rotating, creating almost the same effect as a ball, right?
Yep, they definitely could be rotating with the proper setup. Let's see, what does she say? 4 different size rings. So there's four different sizes. One plasma water of CH3, zinc oxide, CO2, and copper oxide in one of each size. Then they are put inside each other. No two groups have the same rings with the same amounts, but they're all equal 100% of each field overlapping each other. This is my first attempt to make something with the rings. Okay, it's an interesting concept. And of course, there's the idea that comes to mind that it could also be have a pump and some kind of pump system that's able to pump GANs through. That's possible as well. And Jack has sent a picture of his setup with a coil of this tubing and another coil of the tubing inside of that coil, and the whole thing inside of a ball, and plastic ball. So that gives some good imagination that you can see how that could function. And he's hooked up pumps to this to be able to pump through it, the Gansas. He says zinc in the center, CH3 in the outer works very good. And in the second ball, vice versa. You don't have, the nice thing about these balls, he says, is that you do not have to turn them. You pump the GANs through it, although the sound of the electric motors made me crazy. Oh, I see. The sound of the electric motors, that's for the usual rotating balls, made me crazy. So then I made these balls. So he uses a quiet aquarium type pump to pump through the GANs. And it makes it a dynamic GAN system, but quieter than the rotating spheres. And you're actually just rotating the liquid rather than the container of the liquid. So, or you might say you're rotating the plasma rather than the container holding the plasma. So that simplifies the system in a way. We've seen other similar things with tubing and pumps, with ring systems and so on, different health systems in the past. Has potential, so to speak, has gradient. It says you can fill the bigger ball with salt water and the inner ball is empty, and use the tritium and deuterium GANs. Okay, very good. Alrighty, does anyone else have something they'd like to share?
Rick, I have the approval from Anka Cristina to show you her device.
Okay.
Okay, so first I will prepare this video, and if I can share screens.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see how to. Okay, so are you able to see my screen?
It's coming through. Yes, we can see it there now.
Okay, I will turn the volume down.
Can you make it a bigger picture, or just maybe you're stuck with that one on your phone or something? It's okay, we can see it.
Unfortunately, it's the greatest picture I can have. It's full screen, entirely full screen.
Okay.
I will play.
Ai dreapta jos, ai butonul să mărești.
it's okay. I see I can bring this to 200%, but the video is stayed the same. So
Yeah, right.
I will play. So if you can see, it's a strange effect inside this. So the comment for this video, Anka's comment was that with the naked eye, you see just a simple vibration. But with the camera, you can see somehow the space in there is bending.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy that or not. I think it's got to do with the frame rate and the way it resonates with the vibration that's happening or something like that. But it's an interesting effect. It's
yes, it's very, very interesting.
maybe it is a time-space warping. Next thing we see is it disappears.
Who knows? But I don't have any details about what gases are placed in which ball. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I think it's a video artifact rather than something miraculous, near miraculous happening there. But I don't know, sometimes the camera can catch things that maybe we can't just because our human eyes and our physicality can't go to the it misses things. It's not able to fine-tune some certain movements and so on. We see it as a vibration, but maybe a cat sees it as a warping kind of image the way we're seeing this right now. So who knows? Perhaps more tests could be done on that. Try to confirm. Go ahead. What's that?
Brain memorize from blink to blink image. No, like when you don't pay attention, no, you walking and don't see. Perhaps you don't see, no realize where put your foot. But brain registers everything. It's hard to remember every frame on 1 minute, for example. No, and like 24 frames per second, like a camera, registering various moments, this vibration, this movement of reactor in this case. And somebody another time, camera don't catch beauty or color like your eye see.
Right. All right, very good. Thank you. It's always good for making us ask questions and keeping us stimulated here. Okay, I see Marius has had to leave. And I'm thinking I'm going to shut down here too. But I've still got one attendee to promote. Anybody else have any comments, questions, or anything to present today?
I wanted to beg you to make an announce for this for knowledge seeker from I don't know, in this moment perhaps not watching this reactor group, but in few hours perhaps looking this. Asking for manding to you video, photo in proper way, in official way.
You'll send me a video. Is that what you're saying? Sorry.
No. It's for saying for asking people, show, how to say, Marius, ajută-mă, să zică el oficial, să trimită oamenii video, pentru că pe Facebook sunt foarte mulți, dar care nu au trimis buric direct. In direct way, from send them to you directly in your page.
That's usually better than the Facebook for me to show them, yes. So you can either do it through my email, which I can give you if you want to contact me in some way, or you can send it just through the Zoom. If you have the Zoom account, you can just send it to me on the Zoom. That's pretty much the easiest way to do it. Shows up easy for me then. Facebook's a bit of a pain, but that can work as well.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Thank you for everything and for all.
You're welcome. You're welcome, everyone. And I think I'm going to wrap up for today. Yep, I think we'll keep it to that. Lots of reactors were shown and systems and whatnot. That was a lot of fun. Nice to have the live video, the videos as well. And I'll try to put something together for the Knowledge Seekers Workshop so we can have a look at those and show Mr. Keshe that there's been support around the world for this endeavor. Alrighty, well, we've been at it here for 4 hours, so it's probably adequate for tonight. Today, this morning, whatever it happens to be in your area of this time-space continuum we call planet Earth. And once again, this is the Keshe Plasma Reactor Group. I'm Rick Crammond, and this is Rick out for today. Thank you everybody for attending. See you next week, same time and place. And we have the Knowledge Seekers Workshop coming up Thursday at 9 a.m. Central European Time. And that promises to be yet another interesting workshop. I'm sure Mr. Keshe will have lots to say and probably some more teachings for us about how to attain lift in one way or another, through the physicality, through our soul, through any means we can. Up is the answer. All right, I'm going to shut down now and see you next time around.